don't just do fiction. I've got a book in defense of the Second Amendment here. What drove this?
I've written a lot of fiction at that point, but I've never written any nonfiction. But I've written a lot about gun rights. I mean, I've been a gun rights guy my whole life. And they came to me and they said, hey, we need somebody to write a book for like the masses, like a book about gun control and gun laws for everybody. And we want you just to like write the ultimate rebuttal to all the anti-gun arguments. And so I wrote it in 30 days. But it's funny because if you study the topic for 30 years, you can write a book in 30 days. Then it took me 2 months of putting together all the friggin' citations. I got 16 pages of small print citations in the back of that book. I knew that like anti-gun vulture scumbags were going to pick apart everything. I had to change a bunch of stuff for the lawyers.
Really?
Just to cover my ass. And then even after all that, the lawyers kept making me like check stuff. And I was like, I can't answer that because the ATF keeps changing their mind. And they're like, what about this? I was like, well, at one point the ATF said this, and the next point the ATF said that. So what do you want me to do? And so finally we put the little addendum at the very front of the book that says, as of the time of the writing of this book, this is as close to accurate as we could make it. But keep in mind, the ATF is capricious, malicious, and just changes their mind all the time because they're assholes. We just put that at the beginning. Finally, it's to shut the lawyers up. Because at the time we were talking about like pistol brace stuff, SBR, SBS stuff. I would have wrote that book for free, basically. That was just a passion project. Yeah, and so basically I just went through every anti-gun argument you could think of, like everything you've ever heard on the internet, everything's ever been thrown at you, and like answered it. And I tried to do it in a nice way, but a funny way, an entertaining way. I tell you though, since then, I can't argue on the internet about gun control anymore because I get there and I'm like, I already wrote a fucking paper about how you're stupid.
Yeah, you're like, here.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, like I see stuff and it's like I'll see somebody say something. They're so predictable. They always say the same things. And I'll see that. I'm like, dude, I have literally wrote a chapter in a book about how you're an idiot. I can't. I simply can't now. And I just turn it over to somebody else and I'll be like, yeah, that's on chapter 4.
You get a lot of hate on the internet just because you're outspoken and you like, do you feed into it sometimes just because you're bored?
I'm Portuguese, right? I come from a Portuguese household, right? And if you know Portuguese people, we're very fiery and combative. When you put me on the internet, I'm an opinionated son of a bitch. And also, back when all this was first starting, like years ago with cancel culture, I was in a position where I was kind of uncancelable as far as artists go. Because most writers were like scared to death of that, and they would like shut up. And so if you ever saw, back in those days, if you saw a writer who didn't say anything, it's because they were conservative or libertarian, and they were scared. And then I came and I was like, wait a minute, I'm writing for an audience of gun nuts primarily. And so all of a sudden it was like, well, you're not allowed to say that and it's going to hurt your career. And so I was like the one writer that was able to, or the one novelist that was able to just go out there and say whatever the hell I wanted. It was pretty awesome.